if you don't love yourself, if you don't honor yourself, if you don't know who you are, and if you're not being real with who you are, you can't expect other people to love you, to accept you, to be around you. You gotta own yourself before somebody else
loves you.
All right, welcome to the God, Money, and Sex podcast. My name is Raul Villacis, and I'm here with my beautiful co-host,
Villacis.
All right, so what are we going to talk about today?
Happy to be here. We're going to talk about filters.
Filters, like Instagram filters or like social media filters or?
Any way you want to look at filters. There's so many ways to look at filters. But just like a filter, how we have a filter from Instagram, do we overuse them? Or do we use them, whether it's for good or for bad? I guess that's for everyone to be their own judge.
I think when you refer to as filters, we create that persona, right? And we're talking about like filtering yourself and positioning yourself to other people. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we're not talking about Instagram filters.
We're not talking about social media filters. We're not even talking about how to use the social media filters to go to the next level. We're talking about how do we use those filters to either be authentic or be real, or should we be too real, or are we being too real with each other sometimes?
And I think that's the balance that we need to find. And this conversation I think started because we had a couple of friends and some conversations over the weekend, and they were saying like how sometimes they see us, right, the way that we interact and the way that we are in social media. They came to our house and they're like, well, you're the same way whether you're in social media and whether you're not. And sometimes it's like shocking because a lot of people live a certain way and they have all these filters, the way that they look, and then they come and they meet them and they're like, oh, you look nothing like you look like in person. And it's the same thing when sometimes it comes to our relationships. It's like you act a certain way, you say certain things, but then can you really be authentic with the way that you act behind closed doors?
Well, I think I have a problem with that word authenticity because everybody talks about being real, being authentic. And I personally think that it is not possible for us to be authentic and real all the time because we operate from a part of our subconscious that's constantly creating. So for example, if you look at some of my videos like 4 or 5 years ago, I thought I was being real. I mean, that was my realness at that moment. But now I'm looking back and it's like, who the fuck was that guy, right? Who is that guy? Like I could see that I was still hiding. I could see that I was still trying to position myself. I was still trying to find out my message.
Yeah.
But at that moment, that was as real as I could get.
Yes.
So I think that, people misunderstand being authentic, being real to our own filters of what I think being real, being authentic means.
Yeah. So then for me, I think like being authentic as in the moment, like what am I feeling at this moment? And then when it comes to relationships, a lot of the time that stuff is what gets filtered because it did for me. So like if I was feeling something at the moment, and you believe me, there were so many times that I wanted to like tell or say or like rage over what I was feeling, but then I almost like filter it because I thought like, one, I really don't want to show you my true colors. Two, I don't think you could take it because in the past you've walked away, you've run away, you've done like all this craziness when I've showed you my true
we can
colors.
Handle. Like at the beginning of the relationship, like I don't think that, and I think that's a great insight. Like at the beginning of the relationship, a woman thinks that she should filter herself, right? Because if she's crazy and shows a crazy side, the guy's like, fuck this. Like, I'm out. Like, I'm not ready for this, right?
Yes.
And then the guy, at the beginning also filters himself and he positions himself as like, oh, I'm going to provide for you. I'm going to give you the world. I'm going to give you all these things. But in reality, like, he's not ready for that. But, 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years later, then you find the real crazy ass woman and you feel the real guy that is not ready to fucking commit and perform and give her the world. And now you have two people who've been lying about who they are for the past 4 or 5 years meet, and all of a sudden there's a divorce.
And I don't, like at the beginning, it's not like a beginning or the end. You were that person. Like I was that person from the very beginning. I was afraid to show you what I was really feeling at that moment.
So let's give me some framework. So there was situation that happened this weekend in the pool, right? And I look back at the situation that happened in the pool as my upbringing, me growing up, right?
Okay, yes.
So we have some friends in the pool. We have kids. My son is, he's a social media influencer, right? And we have a conversation, and my son likes to be, Alejandro likes to be around adults most of the time, right?
He
likes
does.
to be
He
around
loves
adults.
it. Yeah.
The kids were playing in the pool, but he felt like he wanted to hang out with the adults and have adult conversations, right? So one of the guys that works with me, Jay, tries to play around.
We're not going to say any names.
We're not going to say the same. Jay, asshole. he doesn't know Alejandro that well, and he grabbed him, starts playing around with him, and he throws him into the pool, right?
Yes.
And then that first reaction was like, I know exactly what my son is going to do. Like, I know how Alejandro is going to act. And because I know him and I know a little bit more in depth of his personality. So he comes out of the pool. His iPhone was in the bathing suit.
Yeah.
He had all his clothes on, and he comes out and I'm looking at I'm also looking at see what he's gonna do to see if he's gonna do something different than what I think he's gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
But he did what I expected him to do, which is that he just got pissed. He went inside, and then he never came back.
He ran away.
And I'm looking at this that's the conditioning that we have as boys. When shit hits the fan and somebody does something to us, we go to the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So the next morning when I told to him, I said, what happened yesterday? He's like, oh, Dad, he got me mad, but I'm okay with it. I said, no, you got to be real with yourself and see why were you pissed off, right? I said, well, I was with my phone. I look, I feel embarrassed. I like Jay, so I felt like I was betrayed. All the stories that we create, right?
Yeah.
So we betrayed, embarrassed, losing something.
But those are all his feelings.
Those are real feelings.
He was feeling that, but he did not take the time to express it. So he filtered it, like we were talking about filters. So he filtered it to the world. He put this I don't care about it, F you, and then I'm just gonna walk away. But deep down, he was hurt. He was hurt. He had, maybe he was afraid. Maybe, he did get hurt. His foot was hurting. There were so many things, but it's we learn not to express our feelings, and I guess that's a really perfect thing because I'm thinking with the filters, it takes away the realness of it, the truth of what he was feeling.
So
that
now,
was such a real thing.
Now you go and you take a kid, right? Put 30 years into it. Now he's 40 years old.
Yeah.
He is in a relationship, and the woman does something to him he doesn't like, and what's his first reaction?
He just runs away.
And that's what we're taught. You run away, or we want to fight.
Yeah.
Or we want to fight. I mean, another reaction would be like, fuck this, who the fuck you think you are? I'm gonna throw you into the pool. I'm gonna do the same thing. I want you to suffer. I want you to have the same pain that I have. So now we have pain, and because we don't know how to deal with the pain, we want the other person that we think is hurting us to have the same pain. So we want to throw them in the pool, or want that person to be hurt, or we want them to have the same feeling that we're feeling, because we don't know how to process that. So when I'm talking about authenticity, is that we don't know how to process our own fucking feelings.
Yes. Because nobody really teaches us that stuff. How many times have our parents ever told us to do that for ourselves? That example.
I got bullied in school. I came home. I started crying. My mom would beat the shit out of me for not beating the kid in school. So that's how we process it, right?
Yeah,
so you're right. Our parents just did as much as they could.
Our parents, the culture.
What they did was exactly what they were taught to do, which is put it under the rug. Don't cry, or don't feel this way, or don't say this. Yeah. And that's how we've been conditioned.
And it builds up. That's
what we've been conditioned. Yeah. And now we have a relationship. Now there's two people. And now you are crazy and you have all your emotions. And then I'm crazy. I want to have all these things. So then we have to filter ourselves because we don't want to let each other know the true feelings of what we're going through at that moment.
Yes, because that's, like I said before, that's what happened to us a lot in the past. It's I told you what I was feeling. I expressed my anger or my fears or my sadness, and then you were not there at that moment for me to find that comfort. And I think that's a huge responsibility in a relationship, is to find that communication between both of you, to be able to express yourself and not to hide what you're feeling, because it really gets you nowhere if you continue to hide it.
So now here's how it translates to one of my guys, all my guys. I'm telling all my coaching clients, every time your woman creates a storm, just repeat this mantra. Her pain is not my pain. Her pain is not my pain. So what I teach is really like allowing you to be crazy and have the storm. And us as men be able to hold that space.
Yes.
So you don't trigger me and I don't create that craziness inside of me for you to feel that, okay, shit, you're coming at me with a storm. Well, I'm gonna be a bigger storm or a bigger asshole, and I want you to feel the same pain.
Because it has nothing to do with you.
It has nothing to do with me. And the same thing with me. Like the other day I came home and I'm parking my car, and one of the things I don't like is when something is in my garage or somebody parks in front of the garage. I'm like, shit, I only have one space in the house. A fucking garage. I only have like that was
more than that.
But that's like I just want to park my car, don't go through my transition, and when somebody parks within that, I'm like, I have to get out of the car and I move it. So and I just come home and like, okay, who parked in the garage or who's doing this? And you take it as if I don't value you. You take it as if, oh, that's the first thing you come out of the door, and the first thing you say to me is,
well, then, okay. So that's what you're saying.
But see, that's my pain. Yes. It's my pain. But immediately, what happened?
Well, then I get upset because
you made it your pain.
Here I am. No, I'm like, listen, I'm waiting for you with like open arms to come through the door. And all of a sudden you're like, it's who parked in my parking spot? And it wasn't even a car. It was a motorcycle, whatever it is from Alejandro. And it's like, baby, I'm waiting for you. And then all of a sudden, like, the baby I'm waiting for you turned into
no idea
a range
what
monster.
I was going through. Like, that's my pain, right?
Yes.
That's my pain. So the same thing works. Like, and that's why I think that women and men should have that mantra. It's like, your pain is not my pain. His pain is not her pain. Her pain is not your pain. Everybody's going through some shit. And we have to filter. If I have to filter myself, that means I don't have the enough confidence in our relationship
to let you be,
my shit,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So
and then I'll let you. I had let you be with your feelings, but at the same time, it's like you hurt my feelings
because you allow that to break to make your pain, right? So exactly. At the same time, like I changed, I was ready to go into the pool. I'm already over that. Somebody parked in my spot, and then you try to break my frame because now you're pissed.
Yes.
Now you're thinking about you. So then I let that space just.
Let it be.
Let it be.
Let me be.
And at the end, you were like, okay, I'm not mad. Can you come upstairs? And we had a great time upstairs. But at the same time, if we let those filters, like, and that's what we're talking about, filters. Like, if I let your filter, like, it's a mismatch. Like, being authentic, being real is like, just be real with who you are at that moment.
Yes.
And we are all evolving, and we're all human beings evolving to something better. Hopefully something better.
Yeah. And a lot of the times, like the women that I speak to, it's like, Vivian, I have forgotten really who I am, like what makes me happy. And that's what we always talk about. And we always encourage the couples. It's like, figure out like who you truly are.
Figure out what you want.
Figure out what makes you happy.
It's not necessarily figure out who you are, because I think, again, we are evolving.
But who you are at that moment, like if I wouldn't know who I am, if I didn't know what I wanted, if I didn't know what makes me happy, how can I tell you? How does that?
I'll tell you right now, here's how I frame always. If I don't know what I want,
if
I don't know what I want,
okay,
I'm gonna let everybody around me influence to do what they want.
Yes.
So and that's the challenge that we had in the past. Is like I didn't know what I wanted, and I wanted to please you more than I wanted to own who I am. Mm-hmm. So then a man bends, and I think that's when a woman also loses that polarity, because when a man bends, says, "Okay, honey, whatever you want,"
then the woman takes over.
And then there's no polarity.
Yes. So then those are other issues, because then it brings down.
But look,
everything.
that filter, right? That we're talking about, like you have a filter of what you want your man to do, right? Mm-hmm. What is it that women want most out of everything? What is it that women looking for more than anything?
Certainty, love, attention.
Well, men look for significance. So see, women like certainty.
Yeah.
Men look for significance. So here I am coming home. I'm hunting down the buffalo. I'm bringing the kill.
Yeah.
And the first question that you ask is like, you wipe your
did you wipe your
shoes,
feet?
You wipe your feet on the door, and they're like, woman, don't you see this big buffalo that I fucking hunted? Like, at least make me feel like I am bringing in the buffalo. Appreciation, significance. But now you want to see like, okay, you bring it in. Is it going to bring more challenges? Is it going to bring more problems?
Yeah.
So that's the frame, that's the filters. So that now I have to filter myself, saying, well, the buffalo is outside. Don't worry, I'm not gonna get the carpet dirty. And then I have to bend into what you want me to be, and then I lose that hunter mentality or that hunter desire.
Yeah. The hunter, like the high that you come in from like hunting and like, I'm here, woman. I know, I get it. I mean, that's a huge challenge. And the same thing for women is like being able to like, you know, my neat freak comes on and all of a sudden like everything has to be in a perfect space for him to come in, for the house to be like, oh, beautified, and all of a sudden like you don't come in and you don't appreciate it.
Then now you think that I don't appreciate you.
Yeah.
Now I break your filter, I break your frame.
Yes.
And now we have a situation.
Yeah.
So how do we help the listeners? All right. So you listen enough of our stories. So we're gonna give you some content to be able to help you not to break that frame. Number one is just know that, you know, being real, being authentic is part of just being aware of what you're going through, being aware of your emotions. Like my son, at that moment, he was pissed. He ran away. Are you running away from your challenges? Are you running away from facing the problems?
Yeah. And most is like, what is it that you're running away from? Because I think when you get clear is like, what is it that I'm truly feeling behind all these feelings? I think that was like a big thing for me. So if you figure that out too, like what is it that you're running away from? Then it gives you a clearer picture.
So what I told my son is like, there's two choices when something happens to you. Either one, you run away, and we all been conditioned to run away. The second one is stand up and face it. Yeah. Stand up for yourself and face it. Stand up to your partner and tell, this is what I don't want to feel this way. Yeah. Communication.
And I think that's the hardest thing for people to do, for us to do, is like to have to like deal with whatever's in front of us and like face the reality of it. And
the third one is just let it go. And there's some fights that are not worth fighting. Yeah. I mean, at that moment, you trigger me, I trigger you. And if we have to just sit down and explain all our feelings, explain our emotions, we'll be there for weeks.
Yeah.
Sometimes not worth it. Sometimes just let it go and allow that to be processed by the other person.
Yeah.
You don't have to fight every single battle.
Yeah.
You don't have to stand up for every single time somebody does something to you. Just know that every time something happens, is never the situation, is what you think is about the situation. It's what you think you're going through or the frame that you're creating.
Yeah. And the letting go it's so important, because I feel like there is so much that we stack in our bodies that's what builds so much tension and resentment between couples. But really, there are so many methods out there that you guys could pretty much, you know, whatever fits your living, your schedule, to figure out like what is something for you to let go. You know, whether it's breathing or meditating. We learned Sedona method from Alison Armstrong. You know, there's so many things, but you're really learning to let go, because if you really don't let go, you have like that little pinch.
It becomes,
you know,
it's poison. It becomes poison to your soul, like regret, you know, grudge, all that. Like, you know,
resentment.
I have my ritual every morning, and I let go through my process. I let go through a lot of shit. I let go of a lot of shit. That's why I could do what I do. It's just I don't hold on to that. I don't hold on to that negativity. I don't hold on to past experiences. Every single day for me is like, okay, it's an opportunity for me to evolve. Yeah. To be more authentic to who I am at that moment. Yeah. When people talk about being real and being raw, it's okay, just at that moment, what you're feeling. At that moment, what are you going through? Yeah. And can you own yourself and not bend?
Yeah. It brings up to mind like this method that I was reading about, something about a canvas. Like, you know, you start the day with the canvas and you just fill it up with everything that you're going through, whatever it is, whether it's good or bad. And at the end of it, like you see the different colors that are on the canvas. And at the end of the night, you just imagine like just throwing like whatever color paint, like white, pink, yellow paint over it. And it becomes like this white canvas all over again. And then you just lay down, and in the morning, it's like ready to be painted again.
So you paint the picture every day.
Yeah. I think
in relationships or in business, I mean, I'm constantly looking to innovate. I mean, innovation, like if you're not innovating in your marriage, if you're not innovating in your business, eventually it's going to get boring. I mean, part of doing this podcast, I mean, we're constantly looking at what can we talk about? What's innovation? What are we doing in our marriage? What are we doing in our business? Yeah. I mean, this is part of the innovation of growth.
And that also pushes us to grow. Like, how are we growing?
You have to find someone that pushes you to grow. Yeah. You know, again, creating the filters. I mean, the filters in your life. Catch yourself. What filter are you using? Yeah. What's the filter you're using, and what are you hiding from, and what are you using the filter for? I mean, filters also, like when we talked about, you know, before this podcast, is that there's a positive aspect of holding back as well, because you don't want to be the guy who's looks like a crazy maniac
all the time.
All the time. I mean, I'm intense, but I'm not like, I don't talk this same intensity to my kids. I don't talk with the same intensity to my parents or my grandparents, right?
Yeah.
It's a different version of Raul that shows up. Knows who the audience is and knows who he's talking to.
Yeah. And then also we were talking about how it could be in a positive to use the filters to make it fun. Because I think
in the bedroom, I mean, we use multiple filters in the bedroom that is role playing.
Yeah.
So there's always a positive, there's a negative to things.
Yes.
I don't think that any one person is a certain way every single time.
No, because then that would be boring.
That's fucking boring. If you're like this intense, real guy, imagine if I was this way every single moment. I mean, you probably wouldn't. Like it's not sustainable. I mean, there is times that you have to be intense. There's times that you have to get your point across. There's times that you have to just chill out and do what you gotta do. And there's times that you have to be the lover. There's multiple versions of ourselves.
Yes.
The lover, the fighter, a warrior, the king. The
surrender.
If one thing that our audiences, I want them to take is that you being real and authentic is a matter of you choosing what version you want to show up at that moment and honor that version of yourself every single moment.
Yeah.
And know that you are evolving.
Yeah.
You're evolving your relationship. You're evolving as a man, as a woman. You're evolving. And if you're evolving, there is something in your brain that wants to also fight that evolution and wants to sabotage that growth and make you feel like an imposter, makes you
just
feel
want to run away.
Like you know,
this
you're
is not
fake
me.
and wants to make you feel that you're not making a difference. All those insecurities come from that subconscious brain, that pattern that wants to sabotage your evolution.
Yes, but then we have to think like, what is the end result? And then it's such a beautiful progress where we're going to.
The end result is progress. The end result is enjoying life. The end result is being able to have fulfillment. The end result is falling in love with your process, man. Falling in love with the grind. Falling in love with the path. Falling in love with the insights that you get in from every single angle.
And falling in love with the person that you are. And then I think when you fall in love with the person that you are, then the person in front of you will fall in love with you.
Beautiful. I think you can't say better. You can't end it with a better statement than that. If you don't love yourself, if you don't honor yourself, if you don't know who you are, and if you're not being real with who you are, you can't expect other people to love you, to accept you, to be around you. You gotta own yourself before somebody else
loves you.
So thank you for listening to this podcast. Thank you, babe. It's been an interesting topic. I love that. I love the fact that you are being real with me and tell me, okay, bro, I want to talk about this. Because I had a whole different topic to talk about, but I respect and I honor you. And because you bring so much value into my life, I enjoy these conversations.
I enjoy you.
I love you.
I love you too.
So follow us in Instagram, follow us in Facebook, follow us in YouTube, follow us everywhere except for a bedroom. Learn it.
Live it. Experience it. Love life.